Hello and welcome to the Roundtable for Red Dirt D&D. I'm Michael Cross.
I'm Konnor Shenold.
Johnny Payne.
Gary Hester.
Brooke Bullock.
And Ash King, figuring out what I'm getting these yahoos for Christmas.
Yay!
I'm a Yahoo! Woo!
I just want level 10.
Level 10, that's what I want.
Okay, so we're talking about episodes up to 74, so 71 through 74.
From 1 to 74.
71 through 70. So what
like
happened after Gideon died?
Dun,
The
dun,
next
dun.
chapter in the story of the Frontier Guardians. Oh, wait a minute. No.
No, spoilers.
Name is still
When
undecided.
Gideon died, the first thing we did was divvy up his stuff and hit the pawn shops.
Sorry, I just had a whole scene
Play out
of
in your head.
the time that we had to carry unconscious Zonimus into the
doctor,
shop
yeah,
at
right.
the last stop, and then I was like, "Hey, could we have brought the body? How much for the dead guy? Could the
Boy, we're laughing about it now, but it was
it's
harsh.
still tough.
Oh man. It was
And we
like-
are still getting emails and,
Right.
and conversations from people who are catching up, and it's been it has been great. We love the interaction. The Discord is taking off. It's just so much fun to interact with so many new people. So
It has, and so there are obviously spoilers if you haven't listened to 71 through 74.
Sorry if you didn't know Gideon died.
No.
why are you
But guess
starting
what?
with this roundtable?
if you're here, you should
Is
know.
your Mokrin level wisdom kicking in? Like, don't start.
Right. Well, we had a beautiful, still 71. We did have some dealings with it. We had the wonderful tree that Poppy built.
Oh, yeah. My Joshua tree.
I love that moment. I love the moment of
We can find
Zonimus-
you later.
Yeah. Well, Zonimus also realizing he doesn't necessarily want to move on. That this is a lot tougher for him than we thought. And we see him grow over the next 4 episodes, which is really cool.
Yeah, in episode 72, and again we can bounce back and forth. Poppy and Zonimus, you guys have a conversation about Gideon still be here, and now we have to lean into it. We have to go and finish this task that he asked us to do, and it was just Poppy especially had a really great moment of kind of that halfling resiliency, where in itty bitty spoiler, I think we're going to see that maybe she's not as resilient as she appears to be in 71 and 72. But in that moment, it's a really great example of that halfling resiliency.
I think the big thing is that Poppy, so keep in mind, no one that Poppy has ever loved or deeply cared about has died. This is literally the first time this has ever happened.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't understand how grief works. She hasn't seen it play out in the people around her. She hasn't experienced it. And so essentially she got her closure with Gideon in 70, right? In the ritual. She knows that he is happy where he's at. And so she's like, okay. Like, she's just she's not dealing with it, and that may come bite her in the butt later, but as long as she has something to focus on and something to, work towards, her, maybe as a trauma response, her brain is just that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Or just if I'm moving forward, if I'm doing something that I don't have to think about.
And that's what we see. We see that happen in 70 as well. Poppy has a plan when she breaks down at the end of 69 because she doesn't know what to do. Once she figures out something that she can actionably work towards, now she is not the blubbering mess that she was a second ago. Right. If Poppy didn't have something to do right now, she probably would be a blubbering mess.
In the same vein, Zonimus is kind of the same way. He's everyone Zonimus has ever lost is still alive and out there.
But he's lost.
And I'm not trying to minimize or maximize anyone's grief or anything, but sometimes that's hard because it's like, man, they're there.
They're choosing not you.
Right, or I'm choosing
Right.
not them.
Right.
To protect them even.
And the one person you would choose to be with is
This
gone.
brotherly companion.
There's not a choice now.
Yeah.
It's taken away
And
from
so,
you.
So good.
I think the tightening up and buckling down has actually been the coping mechanism. and striving towards, because everything Zonimus has done has always been in the shadows. No one ever knew who this was going to be. Did it have? It may even be lasting. It's just for the quick buck, for the quick trick.
Right.
But now he's moving to something that's going to have more of an impact in his life and then others after him. And so that's kind of the goal to build to. And he sees Gideon in that, and so it's like he hasn't come to terms with it, kind of thing. It's like Gideon's still here, so I'm going to keep acting like it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure Gideon's here in spirit.
Yeah, a couple of moments in which you can feel that weight as Zonimus realizes, oh, I have to ride up front.
My other option would be unthinkable because it would just be hell-bent on revenge. Now, that's not to say that the thought that's in Zonimus's mind every night when he goes to sleep is, A, is Poppy going to hog the blanket again? And B, the many different ways I'm going to destroy Wiley Smokes Moran.
Zonimus, use your own daggum blanket. This one's mine.
I always tell you I don't even need a blanket, and I slowly try and steal it.
I'm a man. I don't need no
Why would I
blanket.
bring a blanket when you bring the blanket?
Between the kobold and the halfling, those little small bodies and the metabolism, it just radiates
Well, I'm
heat.
imagining that Poppy is bringing a Zonimus-sized blanket, and so it's like you get the corner.
She's
have a
really
wolf.
bringing the blanket just for him, even though she knows that, that makes sense.
But you do see, like, I think really in 70, 71, and the first kind of little bit of 72, we really see Poppy and Zonimus drawn towards each other, and, like, we're making decisions together. We're moving forward together. We're suspicious of Konnor together. We have a little conversation about that.
So you think Connor's really suspicious, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Well, even when we met Gaz and you flew off.
That was
Yeah.
so. That's where,
it
that
was kind of like
good.
I'm 100% alone. Not to say that you guys weren't there too, but I mean it was like there was Gideon, and then when Gideon left, he said Zonimus, Poppy, and then Poppy flew away, and it was just Zonimus.
Yeah.
That was so great in the thing where Zonimus has a mental thought where, he, in my listening to it, I see him kind of look up off into the sky going, God, I really wish Poppy was right here beside me.
Yeah.
But again, that's that little hint of maybe she's struggling with some things still and her grief because, man, lots of animal shape. Which is good for scouting as we travel. But
And before
But
get
we
to-
also specifically know that Poppy uses it to specifically avoid
Oh, yeah.
feelings
Yes.
because she had that conversation with Seraphina where she specifically talked about, hey, sometimes it's easier to be a bird.
Yeah, it is. And
100%.
I did like, before we get to that, because Konnor also dealing with, we heard a little bit of how kobolds deal with grief
Yeah, that
and
was cool.
taking other people's hordes. Konnor, I thought that was fantastic.
Thanks. Yeah, it's just really trying to see which parts we can flesh out with the kobolds without, like, any other kobolds being there, per se.
Right.
And so it's just like, well, they're closely associated with dragons. They're not
Yes.
actually dragons, but, like, we already make fun of the fact that my little backpack is a horde, and I just lost mine, and so it just seemed kind of fitting to at least take at least one item from Gideon, but then the entirety of his horde got donated to me.
Yeah.
I think it was because Konnor and I were kind of having a conversation like outside of the game, because he was like, well, would kobolds? He was more thinking like, oh, maybe like a kobold would give a piece of their hoard to someone they lost, and I was like, no, it would be the exact opposite because the hoard, that's a person's special treasures that they've gathered over a lifetime that would be distributed to their friends and family, with the person or the other kobold who was closest to them getting the lion's share of the hoard.
Yeah.
So for Konnor to get that backpack and to get Gideon's hoard, yeah, that's something super special for him.
I love that contrast of, like, it seems like in real life human culture, so many human cultures, we give things to the grave, we put things in,
Right.
and kobold culture appears to be no, like, you distribute the wealth. You distribute it out so that the item or the memory continues to be out there in the world. It was really great, like Michael said.
Rather than
Konnor.
buried with the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, kobolds are Ferengi.
They're the Ferengi of the Caliban.
Hashtag not wrong.
When you see a meme that is funny, you are required to acquire it.
So before we go into further, because I've had some people talking about the fate chips.
Oh, yeah.
We explained the fate chips early on in the show. We're now hitting the 71 through 74 area. So what I want to know is, okay, first off, Ash, can you explain fate chips and then where you came up with it?
So fate chips are basically, I kind of think of them as giving you guys the opportunity to change your fate. You are allowed to, quote unquote, cash in your fate chips, cash in your luck. And that way you can, try to change it. Because we have a system, it's one fate chip equals one reroll. Or if they save up their fate chips and collect 5, they can get an automatic critical. There are some players who hoard their fate chips like adorable little dragons. And then there are some players who
It's me, okay?
who constantly have to try and change their fate. I award fate chips kind of whenever I feel appropriate. So there'll be times where it'll be really great role playing, or it'll be something really funny, or something that really helps drive the story forward. So I will pass out the fate chips and just it's one of the reasons we don't it would be funny if we just recorded one of these recording sessions just with a camera, because I'm throwing them around the table, hitting people in the forehead with them.
We have to scurry around.
I have to duck. But yeah, they're
Dance
just
my minions into the
Did you pay Ash the
I
chip
just
you owe
realized
them?
that. I owe Ash some chips. I have my notebook, but I also have failed to bring that bag today. It was that dice
Still
bag.
forgot your chips again?
I still forgot them today.
hey, it's fine. I forgot them too. They're in my dice bag as well.
I'm gonna walk in one day with like new chips in sleeves from Amazon with the tag on. And still be like, here's the chips. You never even gave me. I've spent more than that.
That's how they get you.
I've actually been thinking about because there are some places who make custom printed poker chips.
Yeah.
So I've thought about getting us some custom red dirt poker chips.
That'd
Adorable.
be cool.
Right.
That would be very cool. So if anyone out there is wanting to donate some custom-made red dirt D&D cartridges,
that would be a cool Patreon.
That would be-
be
yeah.
very cool.
But I think
love
that the idea is it's similar to a DM giving inspiration.
It
is.
But
Yes.
you don't have to remember that you have inspiration. You have a
remember
tangible thing,
Yeah.
and you can roll them over. So I have 15. So I have 3.
You have 15?
I have
She's a
15.
freaking.
I
And
told
it's like,
you.
it's like, here, you
Dragon
got a
Horde.
fate chip. She goes, but what if I die? 3 times in a row?
I have to listen. Poppy's very important to me and the listeners.
We know, honey.
So you're hoarding chips not for you, but for our
For the listeners. It's for the listeners. I
The
don't want
fans don't want me to leave.
they would go absolutely monkey if Poppy died.
Since Michael didn't have that many fate chips, he couldn't save his character.
Oh,
But Michael didn't make a roll for that. That's the difference.
this is true.
But
It was-
I did actually later on think about if I had just used 10 fate chips to do 2 critical hits against, that could have killed him instantly. Because with
with the
smites,
paladin,
Fate
Yeah,
chips
yeah.
plus paladin smite plus
Oh,
crit.
man.
yeah, that would have you can do
just
up to
swatted it
70 points of damage per attack at a second level smite with critical hits. Unfortunately, I didn't think about that. I also didn't think you just touched me and I'd die. So.
I didn't even touch you. Just say your name.
Talking, and I don't know if we did. Remind me if we already talked about this. Did we talk about the audio clip that Brooke sent us from his friend about Gideon's Captain America? Did we talk about that last time?
We have not talked about that. In
what's
fact, that's
that?
what I was just
Go for it.
scrolling on my phone here a little bit. Well, it's just
This will be the last bit because we're close to the 15 minutes.
it's just in audio. So let's see if this will this will work, and if it doesn't work for them, that's cool. So maybe.
Thought about this all day. I realized that
Start over.
as I have thought about this all day, I realized that Poppy's role in this episode really fascinates me. I think it's really interesting that she has been a silent leader in the team for a long time. When you started out at the whole adventure, you automatically assumed that Gideon was kind of the Captain America of the team and the de facto good guy leader, Boy Scout leader of the team. But over the episode's development, I think Poppy often has been the one who, one, saved the day, like a classic hero would, and two, she often is the one who comes up with a plan. The other thing that I thought was interesting about her is that in this episode it was so important to her that Gideon had a choice, because she felt like Fortunato robbed him of the choice in his own fate. And the fact that Poppy has had so little choice in her own fate, when you think of her parents' control over her, and most of her rebellion and movement in the Kalban has been about taking control of her own fate and not letting other people choose for her, that the fact that that element of Gideon's death is so important to her really fascinates me.
There you go. Yeah.
Can we get building engineering in here to widen these doors so Poppy can get out? Get her head out one time.
No, I think we might have already talked about the choice aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the Captain America aspect. So that Captain America aspect was that basically, like, it appears Gideon is the main hero. Here he is. He's going to be the leader guy, but there's this incredible support network that's behind
But
it.
I wanted to bring that up because when we have the entrance of Gaz, who Kiri calls Captain Cheerio just because of Michael's vocal choices.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So she's almost immediately put off by him. Like, just his personality, his whole vibe, it doesn't jive with her. Like, she's very startled by it. And then she finds out that that's Gaz Gash's actual son, and
There was a little jealousy.
there's a
maybe
lot
there.
of jealousy.
Yeah,
a lot of
it was
jealousy.
I do like it.
interesting.
We're running out of time for just the first 15 minutes because we're going to get into Gaz.
Bunches of Gaz.
Stuff of Gaz. As soon as it's
Subscribe
on the
if
other
you wanna hear
side,
We've
make
got to
sure
talk
you
about that
become a
intro. Oh
patron.
my gosh.
And that's how you can get the rest of this.
Wait, how did they get the rest of it?
By becoming a patron.
Oh.
They can easily do that at patreon.com/reddirtdnd. Patreon.com/reddirtdnd. You get the full round table plus some other goodies. You get certainly a lot of our patrons enjoy getting our episodes on Sunday rather than on Wednesday. So there are some great things going on there, and we do want to thank many of our patrons who the list is growing. And we thank you so much. These are our true fans. And if you're a true fan of Red Dirt D&D, become a patron right now and listen to the rest of this. So who are we thanking right now? Ash.
We are going to have to thank a lot of people.
Yes.
Because we've gotten so many new ones. The list has changed.
We'll go through them fast. And we won't applaud or anything like this time. We'll just,
We'll get a big thing at the end.
Do it auctioneer style. Just rattle those names off as fast as you can.
As fast as I can.
Like the medical information at the end of a sketchy.
The following people may help you have a podcast. This is really great. If you can,
All right. Okay. Here we go. Not gonna mess this up. All right.
You can do it.
Nightmare, New Mexico. Tim, Brian Hughes, Daniel Provencio, Derek Rusnick, Germbot, Kimberly Cross, Nicholas Rodriguez, Ryan Rudbach, Ben Hastings, David Adams, Grognard Bard, John DeFacili, Carla Stevenson, Listening from Experience, Sheila Griffin, Strix, The Kilted Warrior Mike, The Landlocked Siren, Tim A.
The other Tim!
And Tina McBride.
Yay!
thanks so much.
Had to do it.
Oh, that's actually fantastic.
Again, these folks are going to be able to listen to the rest of this episode. Become a patron, listen to it, because we're going to talk a lot about Gaz. If you don't know who Gaz is, you should have been listening to episode 72, 73.
Why are you not listening?
And that's going to do it. So we'll go to the 40 longer part right now.
Oh my goodness,
Before we
it's something
do, I
so
just wanna
good.
say, that